start our formal presentation and tell you a little bit more about the Technovation challenges.
Everyone has something that they're running from. One comes to a close just as another one's begun. Days turn into nights and nights to years, yeah, time goes on. Oh, and everyone is trying to find the place where they belong.
What's wrong with this one? This is pretty cool.
It is pretty cool, actually. This is what we call an airfoil. You probably know it as a wing.
As I grow older and live, that there's more that's waiting for me, and more I have to give. Oh, I tried for way too long to work for something good, when it was free, waiting for me. But I couldn't take it till I knew that I could. Yeah, I can finally see, as I grow older and live, that there's more waiting for me.
So you are all part of a group for inspiring others, and that's one of the things that Iridescent does. We have a number of programs for students. We have a family science program where elementary school students and their families come to school sites in the evening and do hands-on activities that are taught by engineering grad students and professional engineers. And those undergraduate students are part of our Engineers as Teachers program, which is a program, it's a college credit program, college course that engineers take and learn how to take their engineering concepts and teach them to students. And so they come in and teach those family science projects. And then we also have 2 learning studios in LA and New York where students and families can come in and do hands-on activities. So we just wanted to let you know that you're part of a larger group and who Iridescent is. We also want to let you know that we have a number of resources, so please go check out our website. One particular resource I wanted to highlight today is our Stories of Leadership. This was an event that we held in November where we had a number of high-profile women, Marissa Mayer from Google, who came in and kind of shared their stories of how they got to where they are and their lessons learned. And we've taken all these stories and put them on YouTube to share with you, for you all to learn, but also share them with our students, let them know about these great opportunities, and we'll continue to add more stories of leadership here, and so definitely come and check them out.
And I want to tell you a little bit about the history of our program. It was founded by Anya Tiwari, who's actually here in the audience. So it was founded in 2010. In the spring of 2011, we had our pilot program of 45 girls at Google in Mountain View. And last year we expanded to 230 girls at 6 sites across the country. This year we're expanding even more with 8 sites in the Bay Area, as well as 1 in New York, 1 in Boston, and 1 in Los Angeles. Our mission is to promote women in technology by giving young women the skills and confidence they need to be successful in computer science and entrepreneurship. So it's really a marriage of the two, both computer science, technology, and entrepreneurship. Our goal is to really teach girls the basic skills that they need to feel comfortable and feel confident doing technology and computer science.
The program runs for a period of 10 weeks, and there's 2 different places that the students will be meeting. So there's one which is the corporate session, so that's LinkedIn, Adobe, or Google, and they'll also be meeting at their school sites. So as you can see from today, there's a lot more people involved in the program other than the students. So I'll let you know a little bit about each participant type and where they'll come into play. So first off, at the corporate session, this is a picture of kind of what the dynamic will be at each corporate session. There'll be one instructor per corporate session, and they kind of are going to head the program, and they're going to teach the curriculum to everyone who attends. There'll be about 50 students per site, with the exception of Adobe. There'll be about 80 or 90 students there, so it's going to be quite a grand program with 2 instructors there. And all the girls will be split up into teams of 5, so it'll be around 10 teams per site. In addition to the students and the instructor at the corporate program, there'll also be mentors there, and so that's many of you in the audience today. And the mentors have come from high-tech companies. We've recruited women from a lot of high-tech companies locally, and they come from various backgrounds. Some are engineers, others are marketing directors, but all of them have experience working in the high-tech industry. This year, we've also added another participant type to the corporate sessions, which are the teachers. And the reason why we've added you in this year is that we really want this program to be available to students year after year and have them be able to participate, all 4 years of high school. And last year, we had it so that girls were only able to participate once and then become TAs. But we definitely feel like this is an experience that they can have throughout their high school career and will, definitely be enriching for them. So the teachers will be also attending the corporate session and collaborating with the mentors to really guide the students, take them through the design process, help them do the market research, and then also creating the business plan, and then at the very end being able to pitch their application to the venture capitalist. So it's really going to be a collaborative process between the teacher and the mentor at the corporate site. At the school site will be the teachers as well, and they're kind of the consistent piece because they'll be going to both sessions, and the teachers there will be teaching the students how to program. So at the corporate session, we'll be learning about the design process, learning about how to do market research, learning about how to do the business model, and then eventually creating the application. And at the school site will be more of the learning how to program and then working in the groups to finish the project. So is that clear to everyone? Just want to make sure. And then in addition, we also have TAs, and those TAs are undergrad students who are studying computer science, and so they have a background in programming. So right now we don't have enough TAs to go around to each school, so we're going to be giving the TAs to the teachers who really need the programming assistance. And so hopefully towards the end of the program we'll be able to get enough TAs to go all around, but they will be going to just the school site with the teacher and helping them with those meetings.
So the next thing we're going to talk about is our corporate sites. This year we have a number of companies who have been generous enough to sponsor us, including Adobe here. We have Adobe in San Jose, LinkedIn and Google in Mountain View, and then in the city in San Francisco, we have Microsoft and Twitter with classes, and then in Berkeley we have UC Berkeley and the Berkeley National Laboratory. And so these companies have been generous enough to donate their time and their space for us. And a number of mentors have come from those companies as well. We also have something called corporate sponsorships, where companies actually donate money to the Technovation Challenge, and that's really how we are able to sustain ourselves and grow as an organization. It's about $3,000 to run a program at a school site, in addition to the tuition costs of the program. And so we are always looking for new corporate sponsors, and we're trying this year to form partnerships between a school and a company. So each school will be matched with a company who can support that school as they go through, both financially and otherwise. So if any of you are, most of you mentors work in a tech company. If any of you have a philanthropic department or department of corporate giving, I'd love to talk to you more about that and see if we can, if the mission aligns and your company would like to support Technovation and what we're doing. So I'll be contacting you. I'm not going to be here in the South Bay. I'm up in Berkeley, but Catherine will be here, and I will be contacting you by email and phone and so forth. So we'll stay in touch. What I want to talk to you about is mentor best practices. So last spring we did evaluations both before and after the program, and what we found was there were a number of things that mentors could really do to support their girls in the best possible way. And so before I tell you kind of what we found in our research, I'd love to hear from you, just let you brainstorm as a group of what you'd like to do this year to support your girls and what your goals are for them and for yourself as a mentor. So what we're going to do is let you talk in your groups. We're going to do something called Think, Group, Share, which is an activity that we'll do a number of times throughout the program as well. And what you'll do is you'll think for about 20 or 30 seconds, just in your head, about what kind of things can you do as a mentor to really inspire your girls and give them confidence this year. It's just some quiet time to kind of collect your thoughts, and it really helps more of the shy students to have an idea in their head before they have to share. So I'll give you a few seconds to think about that. And this goes for coaches as well. So really everybody here in the room today is a mentor for the students and can definitely support them. So you can think about that. I'd love to hear from some of you from a couple tips. Go ahead.
I've been very fortunate to be part of some of these programs when I was younger, and one of the best things I found as a student on the other side is that when I have questions that people don't just answer them, that they let me figure it out. So they help me along and ask me more questions to let me figure it out instead of just telling me what it is or showing me. Let me do it. So that will be one of the goals.
You all work in technology. You are the role models. And so if you tap a girl on the shoulder and say, look, I think you're really good at this. I think this is something you could do for a career. Would you consider doing that? Just kind of talk to them about their career path and let them know that they're good at what they're doing. Because they might not think so. They might be shy and they might not have a lot of confidence. So definitely what we found is that the mentors can do a lot to support the girls' confidence.
Hi everyone, I'm Britt. So we talked about a lot of these ideas at our table, but one thing that we brought up was having real-world examples. So a lot of people think about computer science in STEM education in very abstract terms, and some people are okay with that, but it's really important to give real-world examples. So for example, like a cell phone bill, like understanding that, variable, that's your, how many minutes you use. The constant, that's the flat rate. Like that really helps some folks a lot of times really understand some of the coding concepts that come along. So giving real-world examples.
Can I hear from a couple mentors who participated last year? Just share a story or an anecdote, something that kind of brings this home to us so that we can see how you might have implemented some of the best practices in your own team, what worked well.
I think one of the most amazing things for me is when girls have kind of that moment where their attitude shifts and you can see it. So in the video that you showed, that was illustrated really well. In some cases, there were girls who were like, "Oh, I never thought technology was for me," or I don't know anything about business stuff. And so to see that shift is really cool, and a way to bring that about. I think you mentioned that to bring that about by kind of guiding them or asking them questions to kind of lead them to the answer really helps, because girls might come in with this attitude like, oh, I can't code, or oh, it's too scary, and then you kind of guide them and help them, what's so scary about it, or what do you not like about it, or how could it be more interesting, or why do you think it's useless, or whatever, and just kind of helping them along that path is always so fun.
I was a mentor at Google site last year, and so one of the interesting moments in the program for me was sort of like initially when we were brainstorming, there were all these different ideas that were kind of coming up, and they were definitely there wasn't much of a consensus in the group in terms of everyone kind of wanted to pitch their own ideas, and there were a couple of dominant personalities, and they wanted to sort of run with their ideas. And it was a very interesting moment when sort of the whole group sort of at some point just kind of came together and just sort of bought into the same idea and vision, and kind of and then suddenly that focus shifted from, okay, now what can I do to sort of make this succeed?
Provide kind of gentle nudges to the girls to keep them engaged and focused. They've had a long day at school and they might want to be on their phone texting. We'll talk a little bit, Catherine will talk a little bit about kind of ground rules for the course, but just kind of keeping them engaged and trying to keep them focused. Help to manage their team dynamics, make sure that all the perspectives in the group are heard. If there's a shy student, try to nudge her to participate more. Allow them to think for themselves. Don't try to overmanage them, of course. Just let them really, they have great ideas and they have, they can really problem solve. So go ahead and let them do that. Let them explore and learn on their own. Provide a lot of one-on-one interaction rather than just addressing the group as a whole. Really talk to each student, try to form a relationship with each of the girls that you work with, just to let them get to know you and get to know them. Treat them as adults, of course, and if they go to class maybe and they might not always feel like an adult at school, but maybe this can be a new experience for them where they're kind of growing up in the world and getting to experience what it's like to be at a high-tech company and work on a project like they were starting a company. So help with that. And then just make sure to arrive on time, and please don't be absent. We understand that sometimes you have to travel for work and things come up, but just as much as you can, be there for the students. we found with our research that, you know, a lot of the girls said my mentor wasn't there very often, I didn't see her very much, and I think it really hurts the team dynamic and the success of the team. So it's really your responsibility to just give it your all and try to make a big commitment to the girls, and they definitely will be grateful for it.
The Technovation Challenge program this year is being held in San Francisco, Berkeley, Oakland, Mountain View, San Francisco, and San Jose. So we're kind of spread across all of the Bay Area, and this year, if you take a look at our map, we've actually partnered with 32 different schools, which is pretty amazing. In addition to our LA, Santa Barbara, Boston, and New York sites. So we're definitely a national program, and Annalise will talk a little bit more about pitch night, but there will be a regional pitch night as well as a national pitch night where girls from the East Coast and also Southern California will also be coming and participating. And so I just want to go over a couple of ground rules for the teachers as well as the mentors. Like Annalise said, we do have an attendance policy that goes for the students as well. And we're really trying to enforce that the students only miss one corporate session. The program is only 10 weeks long, and every hour of the program is jam-packed with information. So if a student misses, a couple of sessions, they're going to really kind of, bring their team down. So teachers, please try, to get on the girls about that and make sure that they come every week. Also phones. So we ask that the girls turn off the phones during the program. No texting, no calling, and if the girls are texting during the program, we ask that the teacher or the mentor takes it and keeps it for the program, and then you can give it back to them. And then laptops, we have a policy of laptops closed at all times when we're not using them, so there's no email, no internet surfing during the program. And mentors, this goes for you as well, so no using the phones and no laptops. Please set a good example for the girls, because if they see you not paying attention, they won't feel like they need to pay attention either. So make sure you abide by those as well. And if an emergency happens, please call 911, and the instructor and I will work to handle the emergency. So we have Daniela from Google. That's going to be the instructor at Google. We have Vidya, who's going to be the instructor at LinkedIn. Deborah at Google, and then also Willow at Adobe, who attended our San Francisco session. So I just want to, take the time to acknowledge these ladies and give them a round of applause. These women will be spending a lot of time working on the curriculum and making sure that the students, leave this program, and the mentors and teachers as well, with a lot of knowledge. And there's a lot of hard work that they're going to be putting into, and they're really going to take ownership of the program, and make sure that this is a great experience for the girls. So thank you so much. The students, if they have a question, they can ask the mentors, the TAs, or the teachers. And then if you guys don't know the answer, then you can ask the instructor. And then if the instructor doesn't know, then they'll ask me. So that's kind of the line of communication. But if anything comes up and there's an emergency or you really need to contact me, of course, please do. But just so that it's manageable, just try to follow those lines.
Talk about pitch night, which is the most exciting part of the program for sure. Our regional pitch event is actually, it's not a night, it's actually a whole day. It's going to be Saturday, April 28th. And that's an opportunity for all the teams in the Bay Area to compete. One team from each pitch night will go on to a national pitch night, which will also be in the Bay Area on Thursday, May 3rd. So what happens at pitch night is the girls have, the first hour of pitch night is a poster session where the girls stand in front of a poster that they create that talks about their app and their business plan. And they also have phones where they're actually demoing their prototypes, their app prototypes, to the judges. So the judges are walking around, and these are kind of industry leaders and investors who are walking around. And then they'll be on the judging panel for the actual pitches. So the girls get 4 minutes to pitch their app idea. Each team comes up to the stage for 4 minutes, and then they get grilled for 4 minutes by the judges. And we'll give you more information as the course goes on about what the judges are looking for, so that the students know and that you know. One thing about pitch night is that the students will go away with a lot of excitement about the program, but we want to send them home with something, even if they're not the first place or second place or third place winner. So what we do is we send them home with goodie bags, and these are just some little bags full of goodies from different companies, kind of swag from technology companies that can help them feel like that they earned something for the program. And so we're actually going to ask for your help. If you work at a high-tech company that might have some swag for us, if you have pencils or notebooks or backpacks or water bottles, whatever you have. If you even want to make a greater contribution, you could donate something larger for like a second place or third place winning team, like an iPod or something. So I'm going to be talking to you more about that, and Kat will talk to you more about that. But one thing we need help with is for a mentor from each site to help us kind of be a goodie bag queen and help us organize those goodie bags. So that means collecting the swag as it comes in and then putting it in bags for us. It's actually a pretty big task, and that's why we're hoping to delegate it to some volunteers. So if any mentors could just volunteer for that, that would be amazing.
So I'd like to take a few minutes now and talk about the curriculum. And these are all clickable links so that you can see the PowerPoint presentations and the tutorials, the hacking tutorials that will be done by the girls. So if you're getting ready and you're kind of wondering what's going to be happening at Technovation this week, you can pull up the PowerPoint and take a look at it and look at the slides. If you want to see what the girls worked on at the school site, you can look at those. So it's by week, and everything that you need should be on there. And these are the slides that the instructors and the teachers will be using. So you can see the curriculum is split up into what's happening at the corporate site and what's happening at the school site. At the corporate site, the girls will be going through this idea generation process where they're really thinking about their customer, or thinking about the user and what their needs are, and developing, brainstorming an app idea for this user, and then going through and doing some customer development where they do some market research, and then some user interface design where they go out and actually create some paper prototypes and get feedback from the potential customers that they'll have. And then they start to get into the business model. Can they create a business model and think about revenue streams and how would they make money with this to get ready for their pitch and making it a viable product. So that's what's happening on the corporate site. And then at the school site, they're going through a number of tutorials. And I'd just like to take a minute right now to thank Margaret Butler, who's here in the room. She was involved in the pilot program and was so influential in creating a lot of the curriculum that's happening at the school site. So we've adapted some of that since then, but it's really Margaret's hard work that started this program. And so how the tutorials are set up is there's a PowerPoint that the teachers will be showing at the school site that go over the computer science concepts that they'll be learning and doing in the tutorial. So it's just a few slides to cover those concepts, and then the students will then jump into the tutorial. And it's a step-by-step process for building an app, but there's always a hacking component at the end of it. And this hacking component is a chance for the girls to take what they've learned and change it and use it to make that app their own. And that's where we feel that learning is really key, is that's where they kind of take what they've just followed the step-by-step directions and then changed it to make it their own. So for the teachers, we'll be talking more about this afternoon in the App Inventor tutorial, because that's going to be really key so that they can take those skills and then use them in their own app when they get to that point. So that's to give you a brief overview of the curriculum so you have a sense of what's happening, and please definitely look at the pages and prepare ahead of time. It will definitely help you prepare with the girls. What we have done for the program is we have created a challenge. So we talked about how we really want to have girls participate year after year. And one of the ways that we're doing that is by creating a yearly challenge that the girls will be designing an app for. So that they participate this year, they'll be excited about next year because it'll be a new challenge. So we haven't announced the challenge yet, and one of the things is we're going to announce it to you all today, but we want to not share this with the girls until they are at their first session. So for teachers who are going to be talking to the girls, just keep it under wraps for now until that first session. And one of the reasons why we wanted to do this is to really guide the girls. There's definitely research out there that says when you give students big projects that are open-ended, some students will have a hard time deciding what direction to go. And in a 10-week course, we don't have a whole lot of time to do that. Last year we had students in week 6 who were kind of changing their idea. And so that is really difficult for a group to do that at that point. So we want all the teams to be successful. And we figured if we narrow it down a bit, that they'll have an easier time to choose their app idea and go with it. So without further ado, the app idea for this year is to develop a science education app. And this can mean a lot of things to the girls. And we really want it to be broad in what the definition of science and what the definition of education can be. And that'll be something that they'll be brainstorming about in their session. So we have some examples of things that we think are out there on the market that fall into science education. But really, from our research and looking at what's out there, there's not a lot. It's kind of an untapped market. So we feel that that's also an area for the girls to be able to really dive into an area that hasn't been flooded with apps, and they can think about who the user is and what that might be. So one app actually from last year that falls under this category is called Elemental Madness. And this is an app that students created that helps them study chemistry elements. And how they do this is a Jeopardy-style game. This is actually Nidhi's team came up with this idea. And you know, it falls into where they're playing a Jeopardy-style game, so it falls into that kind of that game category, but where they're learning some science concepts, some chemistry concepts as they go through it, and it can be a one-person game or a multiplayer game. And so that's one example. Another example of a science education app is called BioBots, and this is an app that was developed by Iridescent, and it's an app that lets you learn about different sea creatures that exist, and there are different mechanisms that they have built in. How are they able to you know, get through the water? Are they able to do it by propulsion? What kind of defense mechanisms that they have? And so on each creature that you learn about, that you kind of learn about these attributes that they have. And eventually what you do is then go to a workshop where you actually pull together your own BioBot, and you build it and add these different defense mechanisms and ways to maneuver. So that's an example of a science education app. And then there's a third app that we wanted to highlight, and this is one that's going to be highlighted throughout the program. It's called Simple. And Simple is an app that helps people who have chronic illnesses keep track of their symptoms in between doctor's appointments. So it's, it prompts them same time every day to kind of input how they're feeling and different you know, things about their particular illness that they need to keep track of, so that when they go to their doctor's visit, they can educate their doctor about, here's how I've been feeling, and here's, you know, what's been happening over the course of the last 2 months, and really can give them data. And what they found actually is that there's a huge market for this as well with the pharmaceutical companies who want to know, you know, the drugs that are being created and how they can track their patients and know, like, are there side effects that we don't know about that we should be learning about. So they've really found a market, a unique niche market for their app. And, you know, that's a really broad definition of science education, but we feel like science education can be a broad definition for what the girls think of it can be, and that'll be part of what they'll be brainstorming during their sessions. Guest speakers who will come in for a number of the sessions, so you can expect to see them. We're bringing in leaders in the field who have experience, you know, creating their own startups, are experts in user interface design, and so we'll have them coming to your sessions throughout. So your instructors will be able to tell you when speakers are coming in, and so you know that they're going to be coming each week. We talked a little bit about how to keep everybody on the same pace, and that's one of the key things with a project like this, is that students really need some project management tools and the guidance of the teachers and the mentors to help them with that piece. So we created a Scrum log, and this is, how many of you are familiar with Scrum? Oh, great. All right, so for those in the room who don't know about Scrum, it's a development tool that really helps you keep on track of what you're planning to do, what you're doing, and what's been done. And you set time limits on each of the things that you're working on. And so the girls will have a log that they keep that has that information of all the things that they have to do throughout the course of Technovation. And really keep track of, okay, here's how long we're going to be doing it, here's who's responsible for it, if it's the team or an individual person, and that'll be something that's online in a Google Doc that the mentors and the teachers can all see, so that you all know what they've been working on and can see where they're at in the process. And then each week when they come into the corporate site, there will be a team meeting where they stand up, and it's a meeting that'll happen for about 5 to 10 minutes where the girls are talking about any challenges that they're having, where they're at in the process of developing their app, what things have they been working on, what things do they need help with, so that the mentors are on the same page each week at the start of the session. You know, how did it go with programming at the school site, and so that everybody's starting that corporate session kind of knowing what's been done and where they're at. This is an example of the project management tool. It's a Google Doc, and there's a number of worksheets in the Google Doc that take the girls through. So they have a list of the judging criteria, and they know what they're going to be judged on from the get-go. There's the Scrum log. There's brainstorming, so they'll keep track of their brainstorming online as well, and can add to it. Say they have a great idea at home that didn't come up during the brainstorming session, they can add that to the log. And so all of this will be digital so that they don't have to keep track of things. Since there's going to be so much movement from the school site to the corporate site, that's a way to keep all of their information in one place.
So all of you should have received an invitation to our Technovation Challenge Google group, but we'll be using this Google group this year to facilitate discussion between all participants of the Technovation Challenge. So like I said, there'll be some participants that are at the school site and some that are at the corporate site. So we really want everyone to be able to communicate with each other. And so once you receive this invitation, please accept it, and you'll receive messages, or you'll receive a settings about, like, if you want to upload a picture. It'd be nice if everyone could upload a picture. That way everyone knows who you are and what you look like. You also can set the settings on how many times you'll receive an email of when someone posts. I wouldn't recommend pressing the one for every time a person posts, but maybe an abridged version every day. All you have to do is press post, and you can reply to any discussion. And so what I've done is I've created a welcome message. So once you enter the site, it'll tell you exactly how to use the Google group, how to post a discussion, or how to post a question. And that'll just be to enter it into the subject line so that everyone knows what you're asking, and then also put who you want an answer from. So for students, if they just want answers from students and feedback, then they should just put answer needed by students, or all if they don't mind anyone responding. And so I had a comment yesterday at our San Francisco training that some mentors wanted to know, the background information of other mentors, because they may be an engineer, so they don't have the marketing side, or more of the business development side. So everyone who enters into the group, we ask that you do an introduction, and on the welcome message, again, it gives you instruction on, please list your name, what company you go to or school, and then also what your expertise is. And so you'll be able to go into those introductions and see, okay, this person works at Google, they do this, and you'll be able to communicate and be able to contact those people. So if you have any troubles, you can definitely email me and talk to me after if you haven't gotten an invite.
The girls as a team each week at their school site are going to be answering these questions. So they'll talk about them, and then they'll do a team response that they put on their Google Doc. And this is going to be interactive. The instructors at the sites are actually going to read these and have a chance to respond back in a few sentences to the girls, letting them know, like, okay, that's great, we can cover that more in the next session, or I'll kind of review that, or give them feedback on anything particular to the responses. But that's also something that the mentors, you're welcome to, mentors and teachers, read what the girls are thinking. The teachers will be facilitating the discussion, so they'll really know, since they're going to end each school site session with this reflection. But for mentors, you can have a chance to read it and get a sense of what they're thinking about. If you also want to respond, feel free to write there. But the instructors are definitely going to do it each week, so that's part of it, just to hear from the girls and how things are going. And have a hands-on activity for all of you, so you get a chance to feel what it's like to develop your own app. So your challenge today is in your teams at the tables. We're going to take you through an abbreviated and quite sped up app development process where you're going to take about 30 minutes to come up with your own app idea and go through some of the steps that the girls will be going through. And the first step is brainstorming. So we're going to give you have Post-its on the table. I believe everybody has a stack of Post-its. And what you're going to do is take about 5 minutes as a group and brainstorm ideas for a science education app. So you'll go through that process as well. And the rules of brainstorming are really important for you to think about. Really, you're trying to have quantity in the number of ideas that you come up with. So try to put one idea per Post-it note. We'll kind of organize these in a little bit. And really, it's key to be able to piggyback on other people's ideas. If somebody says something and then you can take that idea further, definitely add to it. Or if it makes you think of something else, definitely put it down on the paper. You want to the crazier the ideas, the better. This is your time to be zany. Don't stop to evaluate. That's really important. No evaluation of ideas. The crazier, the better. We'll do evaluation in a little bit, but we really want you to get those creative juices going. So one of the rules is don't evaluate praise or criticism. It's really just keep going with the idea generation and really the quantity. One of the things that we want to talk about with how we're going to be designing is we're using a user problem solution format to it, and really trying to develop products that are have the user at the center. So it's user-centered design. And how we do that is we ask a number of questions. So you're always asking, who is the user, what is their problem, and then what is the solution, and how is this product that we're creating that solution. So that's the framework we want the girls to be thinking about their idea in. So you all right now have a number of ideas. What we're going to have you do in just a minute is start to group your ideas by kind of categorize them if there's a particular user that it was targeting, and think about what their problem is, because what you need to do is write down on a Post-it note, we think that blank kind of people, that's your user, have trouble doing what, and that's the problem. So what is the problem? And we're going to solve that problem with our application that does this. So we want you to put whichever idea, you're going to choose one that you've come up with into this problem statement and solution statement. It seems like everybody has a problem-solution statement, or at least their problem statement, and they're kind of generating some solutions to it. But what we're going to do is move on. The next step in the process is to really start to think about your user and to create a persona for the user. This lets you kind of step into the shoes of your user, whoever it may be, and really get a sense of who they are and how they participate, and really try to think about what a person who would use your product would do. And the girls will get a chance to go through this activity as well. But we're not going to do it today. I just wanted to introduce the idea of persona to you. So it may be that this is Maya, and she's an 18-year-old high school student who's just is about to graduate from high school and is heading to a state school in the fall. And she plays on her soccer team, and she has an Android phone. And so during her soccer games, she plays on it, or late at night when she's finished her work, she plays a couple of games. And just to give an idea of how someone who you're creating a product for actually uses that product. So just to introduce that idea to you, because the girls will be doing that during the session. What you're going to be doing next is actually creating a paper prototype. And this is something that the girls will do, and we want you to use your paper that you have to draw out what the screens of your app would actually look like. Kind of create screenshots of what your app idea will look like, so that you can eventually test it out with a user and see what they do when they're playing with it. And it's a good way to, before you even program any code, to get a sense of, will this interface work? What changes do I need to make? And this happens in week 4 of the program. And that's, once students have done this, where they've gotten some feedback on their idea and gotten the paper prototype, they'll be ready to then move forward and start building the prototype in App Inventor. So you'll notice in the schedule at the school sites, that's where we start to say, work on these hacks and also build your prototype, so that they have time to start to create the code of what their app would look like. We want you to take about 5 minutes to draw out the screens that a user would go through to use your app. Don't spend so much time on the artwork. You can see it can be pretty rudimentary, just to give them a sense of what it is that they're supposed to do, and so that eventually you could test it with a user and see what it's like. Of course, this is a very fast process that you've gone through. The next step would that you'd be actually getting some user feedback. We also skipped a step before where when you start to generate your ideas, you do some surveys and actually get some customer survey data and do some survey development to find out, is this going to be something that my potential customer would want? But we're kind of fast forwarding that pace. You're not going to actually go out and do that. So the next step, once you've validated your prototype and that you know that it's going to work with users, is that you're ready to build it. And so you'll actually put the time and effort into program your app. And then Then you have to pitch your idea. Why is there a problem? What must be done about it? And how have you uniquely solved this problem with your app idea? And that's your pitch. You want to cover those pieces in your pitch. Now, this is going to be a really short pitch. You have 60 seconds. So we want you to continue to work and come up with your pitch idea. You have 60 seconds to then get up and share your idea with the rest of the group. We're going to give you about 5 minutes to do that, so we'll let you get back to it, but definitely come up with your pitch that answers the why, what, how problem. Here are the teams to actually stand up and pitch their idea to the rest of the group. It's 60 seconds, and you're answering the why, what, how, why, what, how format, but you really want to hook us in, and that's something that the girls will be doing in their pitches, and we spend a lot of time preparing them to pitch. There's an entire session where we bring in communication coaches who work with CEOs and actually this topic on how to pitch, and they work with the girls. So they'll have a lot of experience doing that, and you'll be able to stand up and practice. But we want to give you guys all a chance to take your ideas and pitch to us. So do we have a group that would like to volunteer?
The average person generates about 1.5 tons of solid waste per year. While 75% of solid waste is recyclable, only 30% is actually recycled. We believe that this is because people don't know the best way to dispose of their trash, and they don't feel accountable for their actions. So people need a quick and easy tool to figure out the best way to dispose of their trash and see the impact of their individual actions. As a result, we have developed a mobile application that enables people to quickly identify the best way to dispose of their trash and incentivizes them through a variety of methods, including their social network, game mechanisms, and data visualizations.
Wow. I know.
We started out by me saying, I hate science. And with that, we came up with something that I said, now this is fun. And what we did, we started out with thinking about science games. And when in the classroom, kids hate to memorize. It's like the last thing they want to do. So we decided that you take something like the periodic table that we all love and have a game. So what we started with was you choose the players, whether it's a group or an individual, and then you have the periodic table, and that's where you start. And then it's a game where it'll come up and it'll have 3 different choices, and you have to shoot at the one you think is the right one. And after you shoot on it, it'll tell you whether or not you're correct. And then it'll continue on, and then at the end, it'll tell you, as it goes along, it'll say, keep playing, you're doing great, and it'll tell you how many points you have. And then at the end, it'll say, good job, and it'll show you red, the ones you did wrong, and green, the ones that you did right. And then if you do it per class, it'll show the percentages and which one of the groups in the class did the best and which ones in the class did. So it was like you guys won, you came in second, third, and fourth. And if you're doing it by yourself, it'll show you a percentage. This is the ones that you need to improve on, and these are the ones that you did correctly. It was fun.
On their pitches and starting them to think about it. Week 8, the pitch coaches come in and help them, the communication coaches come in and walk them through activities on developing their pitch and how to be effective and hook your audience in. And then week 9, they actually get a practice. This is dress rehearsal, where we bring in potential judges, judges who couldn't actually be at our judging event, who judge the girls. And so they'll actually do a dry run through where they'll spend 4 minutes pitching, 4 minutes getting grilled, and then the judges who come in that night will give them feedback for about 10 minutes so that they're really prepared when they have to get up in front of an audience of 100 people. For a lot of the girls, it's daunting. It's the first time that they're public speaking. So we really prepared them ahead of time. But as a teacher and a mentor, you're going to be giving them a lot of feedback as they go through this process. And that's really important, that you guide them along and help them critique their application, their pitches, and prepare for this event. So one of the things that they need to know is what they're being judged on. And so in the Google Doc that will be shared with all of you for your teams, this is the exact rubric that the judges get. that they'll be filling out and judging them on for pitch night. So it talks about their demo that they'll see during that poster presentation hour. And then it's talking about their communication style and how clear they are and concise with their 4-minute pitch. Critical thinking, have they really thought about is there a market available? What is the problem? What is the solution? Getting back to that user-centered design. And have they really thought about the opportunity and the market that's out there and available to them? And looking at the competition. Are there other apps on the market? And how are they different? How are they better than those other apps or different and will be capturing that market? And then they really talk about, they need to be talking about the strategy and implementation, about how they would go through and get revenue, and what partnerships will they build to create this app and this company. But what we want to do is actually show you a pitch from one of the students. And then what we're going to do, all of you just got their a printout of their presentation. And so now we'll actually see it, them pitching it. And then we're going to spend, in your tables, you're going to spend about 10 minutes thinking about feedback for the team. And what things would you tell your girls on their pitch that they come up with? And how we can improve this one. I will say that this was the winning team, but there's still room for improvement, for sure. This is part of the process. So you'll be seeing variations of this probably when you first see their pitch, but this is the point where we really want them to kind of go to that extra level and think about it. So definitely let's get to that so you have a chance to see what that's like. And so one thing to say about that is, you see here the app demo part of the judging criteria. That's going to be happening during the first hour poster session. So the judges will get a sense of that by playing with it. They'll actually be holding a phone and going through their demo. But I think there are things that, visual representation on presentations is really important. The less words, the better. If they can speak it and show a visual, they'll be better off. One of the things that, realistically in the corporate world, one person makes a pitch. But here for this, we really want the girls to all to have that experience of getting up in front of an audience and pitching, so they have that confidence. The girls are so excited afterwards that, they're nervous. They have those butterflies that have to get up and speak in front of a group. And then afterwards, they really are proud of themselves that they were able to do this. So we want all the girls to have that experience, even though that's not quite the model of what would happen. So I think there is something about the flow that they could work on.
Just from a personal experience, that everybody enjoys a good story. And so in the beginning, when they opened up with the story of how they're going to engage the user to use this app, I thought that was really good. But if they can play it out where as throughout their presentation, they're going to use that same story but follow it through so that they're able to use that as part of their pitch, to interweave that with the technology aspect of it by following through and show the, the venture capitalists what it might look like at the end in terms of what the user will experience. I think that's great.
Yeah, one of the things that they did was that, they mentioned they had the slide that talks about there's, 18 million potential high school students with these or whatever that number was. But they don't talk, they're never going to capture all of that market. And so it's talking about, that is the total addressable market that's out there. But they really need to be thinking about what part they're going to capture. That's all guesstimate, but it's trying to think about how they might capture those students and what their marketing aspect would be. I think that piece was not quite explained well in their business plan and also in their pitch. So that's an area for them to work on as well. What we're going to do is now just a quick App Inventor training, because App Inventor for the most part is going to be something we're introducing it in week 1 at the school site. The girls will create their first app during that week, and then they'll go off to the school sites and work on the tutorials. But that first session at the corporate site, they'll be working on it. So we want to make sure that everybody's phones are working and that App Inventor is set up. So we're going to walk you through a step-by-step process to create your first app. If the teachers have the phones and can share them with the rest of the mentors at their table, what we can do is walk through the steps and setting the phones up so that they can be used with App Inventor. And once your phone is turned on, you're going to go to your home page and find the Settings app. And then follow these steps that are up on the screen for setting up your Wi-Fi. And the next thing that we're going to do, the phones are set up and ready to work with App Inventor. The next thing that we have to do is actually log in. So Technovation App Inventor. So let me give you a little bit of history about App Inventor. App Inventor was created at Google. It was a Google product as of December 31st, and it has now been transferred over to MIT. MIT has a mobile learning center, and they are taking App Inventor over and creating it as an educational tool and kind of furthering that. They've also open sourced App Inventor so that anybody can run the code and run their own instance of App Inventor. So what we're doing at Technovation is that MIT's version of it is not quite ready yet. It's not going to be ready until probably the end of Q1. So we're running our own instance of App Inventor. And the way it's set up right now is that you have to be given permission to use our version of it. So right now, what we've done is created Gmail accounts that have access. What we're going to do is get all of your Gmail accounts and add you to the list so then you'll then have access to it. But we're not there yet, so we need to get all of your Gmail accounts and just add them to the whitelist. So what you need to do for today is log in to Gmail and use Technovation GL, and then there's the XX. Make sure, this is really important, and this is really important when your students are working too, is that make sure you know which group is using which Gmail account, because if you both log in on the same account, you'll overwrite each other's information when you're coding. And so this is really important when the girls are programming, that they're not logged in on the same account, because they will overwrite each other's information, which can be really frustrating. So go ahead and log in, and then once you're logged in, then go to Technovation App Inventor, app.appspot.com, and that will bring you to the App Inventor first page. So this is your designer window. There are going to be 3 screens that you see in App Inventor that you can use. There's the designer, and then there's the blocks editor, and then there's the emulator. So we're right now in the designer, and this is the space where you actually add components and that kind of deal with the interface of your app, what's actually going to be on the phone. My right side, you see the basic that has a number of elements there that are, it's a palette with a number of drawers, and in the basic palette you have things like buttons and text boxes and labels and all of that. So that's going to be where you find a lot of that information for it, and you can poke around in the drawers and find additional things, animation and different sensors that can be used. But for our app today, we're going to create an app that has a picture of a kitty that when you touch it, it meows. So that's Hello Purr. So what you're going to do is you're going to go and add a button. So you click it and you drag it onto the viewer screen. And you see it says text for button 1. And now as you move over, you'll see under the components that there's a screen for the components I have, and then a button. And then if I move over to the properties, that's the properties for this button. One of the things we want the students to start to get the hang of is good naming habits, where they actually take their buttons and their properties, that the components that they add, and give them names that make sense, so that later when they're trying to debug their program and they have 4 buttons, that they go, oh, which one was button 1 and which one was button 2? So giving it a name. So I'm going to call this one, I'm going to rename it and call it Kitty Button. And just click OK. And you'll see how to change the name. And so right now, the text box just has text that says text for button 1. We're actually going to delete that. We don't want any text in our button. And what we want in our button is we want it to have an image associated with it. Right now, under image, there's none. And if I click on that, I can add an image. So I'm going to go ahead and add an image. And you can browse. Something I want to note about the size of your assets and your files, that when you go to then actually download it to your phone, when you create the app and download it to your phone, if your kitty file or your picture file or your sound file is really large, you're going to get an error. There's definitely a limit to the size. So, you know, all the steps that the students are going through in the tutorials, we know that all those assets will work and they're the right size. But it's when they start hacking and kind of making it their own, you know, if they choose a 5 megabyte picture, it's not going to fit on the phone. It's going to give an error. So just know that, you know, as you're trying to troubleshoot with the students, if they're getting some errors, that could be one of them. And my kitty is add a label. So I'm going to drag a label, and I just drag it on top, and you see it says text for label 1. And it's now in my screen. If I wanted it to be below the kitty, you drag it below, and you see that blue line shows you where it's going to be. And I'm going to change the text for label 1 to say, pet me, and make it big. And then I'm going to rename it pet me label. So the last thing that we need on our app is that we actually need to add sound to it. We said that once we touched the kitty, we wanted it to meow. So we need to add a sound file, a sound component. And so if you go over to your drawers and look under media, you should see a sound file. So I'm going to click it again and drag it over to my viewer. And notice that the sound file doesn't actually show up in this screen. It's a non-visible component, and it shows up below the screen. What you can think of is that what's on that screen section right there is actually what you'll see on your phone. So you can kind of think of it as the screen of the phone is what they'll be seeing. So this is where you, in the designer, is where you create the look and feel of it. And then to actually program it, you need to open your blocks editor. So you can click on this button up here, and you'll see it's opening. And this is where it's important that you've downloaded, when we sent you the instructions, to follow the instructions and download Java and say, it'll give you the screen every single time you open the blocks editor, and you always say yes to it. Say, okay. And it'll take just a minute. This is our blocks editor. And you'll see, just like in the designer, there are a number of drawers over on your left-hand side. There's the built-in drawers, but if you click on the My Blocks, you'll see that all of the buttons and the components that I added to my designer are now here. So there's a kitty button, there's a pet me label, there's the screen one, and there's the sound file. So I actually want you to go back to your designer for a minute, because I moved fast. I moved too fast to start with. And go look at the sound file. Right now it's just a sound file, but I haven't told it what sound to make. So you need to add a source file. And so in here you can add, and again the kitty sound is either on our website or on the flash drive. When we press the button, what would happen? Yeah, meow, that it would meow. That's the actual, like, thinking about how it works. If you go to the kitty button, that's going to be one of the things that you need to program. You need to tell kitty button what to do. And you click on that drawer, it brings up a number of procedures that are already written for you. Because we know if you click on if you have a button, you're probably going to want to click on it. And so that's what App Inventor does, is it creates a, when the button is clicked, do something procedure. So you want to drag that procedure out onto your viewer. And we said when the button is clicked, we want it to meow. Connect blocks that don't actually fit together and would never work together, it won't let you do that. You won't hear that clicking sound. So that's the step where you need to make sure that they click together. Once you have that, you can then either, if you want to test your program now, is you can either try it with the emulator or connect it to your actual device. So for those of you who have phones, you can actually connect the phone to your laptop. I don't have a phone connected, so I'm going to start my emulator, and that'll give you a sense of what that's like. So you click on the emulator, and it'll take a little bit for the emulator to start up. You'll get this screen. You always click OK. And you'll see the emulator start up. And the emulator is pretty slow the first time you start it, but it'll finally get there.